Okay, hi guys. I hope I'm audible. Okay, so let's begin today's session about how do you prepare for like last month's strategy for CLAT 23. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Varun from National Law School of India University, Bangalore, and not that it's relevant. I scored a rank 11 in CLAT 2022 and rank 89 in ALIT 2022. And yeah, I chose National Law School of India University, and now I'm here. And we'll be talking about how you can prepare for CLAT 23, especially when it's your last month. You have to strategize your preparation, you have to plan everything that you do, you have to plan every hour for the next 20 days or so. Okay, so we'll divide the session in a couple of sections, and towards the end we'll take question and we'll have a question and answer round. All right, so okay, first and foremost thing which I would like to point out is that okay, one of the major mistakes which we make, especially when there is less time for CLAT, is that there are so many things to cover, and students are generally confused as to how they go about it, how they divide and what time what they have to do. So we have to strategize and plan, like okay, this today's Monday, I'll do this much work on Monday, I'll solve one mock, I'll do 1 month of GK, I'll do this much practice sheets. So what my point is that you have to make a timetable, you have to go back to the old school method of like the primary school method of making timetable and doing your work accordingly. So you have to make a timetable, and this is what my suggestion is: you make a timetable and you follow that diligently. So the timetable should be very on a very micro level, that if you plan to do 3 mocks per week, assign the days on which you will take the mocks, assign the time at which you will take the mock, and also put also what you can do is also put the what is it called, the practice sheets. You put the practice sheets, like you will solve the practice sheets right now. If you have to do 7 practice sheets in a week, put the time at which you'll take the practice sheets. Moreover, if you have to do GK, I'm assuming you, like if you have to do cover 1 month of GK in 2 days, so you can put like, okay, today I'll do half a month of GK, tomorrow I'll do the other half. So making a timetable will help you organize your study for the last month. Otherwise, what happens is you have so much to do. You have 5 sections to cover. What ends up happening is that you think, कि, अच्छा ये भी कर लेते हैं. Okay, I'll do this today. I'll do this today, and at the end, you do much less than what you could have done. So that is the first point. Have a timetable. Do follow your timetable diligently. Second question, like which many students keep asking me, is what should be the frequency of mocks? So I believe since we are in November, towards the end of November, you have studied that much that you know how to approach questions of English, or how to approach questions of CR and legal reasoning. So towards the end, the importance of mocks increases manifold. You have to practice more mocks as compared to before, because now you have some idea of how to approach a mock, how to time yourself, how to solve the questions, uh, how to maintain the order in which you solve these sections. So I wouldn't suggest like you take a mock every day or take 2 mocks every day. That would be insane. But You should increase the frequency of mocks, in my opinion. You can subscribe to test series and you can get mocks from wherever. And solving mocks is important. What is more important is once you've solved a mock, you should try to analyze each question. This is very important, especially towards the last month. When you've solved the mocks, comparatively, you will get more right answers than before. So, what is more important is you analyze each question which you got wrong. And for that, what you can do is you solve the mock, you timed yourself, your 2 hours is done. Don't stop at 2 hours, complete the mock after that. It's not like you, okay, 10 questions are left, okay, or maybe you couldn't attempt the section. Wait after 2 hours, complete the whole mock, and then get up. And after that, check the mocks, and you get your scores, you get the answers you got right, you get the answer you got wrong. Go back to the mock and try to see the questions which you got wrong. Try to read the questions slowly and understand each word which the examiner is trying to put forward. And then read the options carefully. Why did the examiner choose option A instead of option B, C, and D? So you will eventually learn to comprehend from the examiner's point of view instead of a student's point of view. This happens after you have given many mocks, after you have an idea of how to approach mocks, and after you have learned to analyze mocks. So this is very important. I've this is a very good technique to learn how to comprehend options, how to eliminate options, how to quickly go through options and get the right answer. Second topic for today's, yeah, mock analysis is important. Okay, sequence of attempts. So okay, this is a very general question, that what is the perfect sequence of attempting the sections. Like, what I will say is there is no one size fits all rule for this. Every person has a different comfort level. Some people do better while starting with English, some people do better while starting with legal. It is totally up to you. I can suggest a couple of ways which you can go through. I will share my own sequence which I followed during my CLAT exam. So what I followed was I used to do English first, then GK, then after that I had legal, then CR, then math I kept for the last. So I use this method because uh, English generally English requires more understanding, more comprehension. So while you're starting a mock, your mind is fresh, you can put in more, you can easily understand the passages which are there. So I used to take up English first, finish English quickly, and then I used to do GK, because GK you wouldn't want to keep at last or towards the end, because GK gives you a quick score. And also GK gives you a break between two sections which are heavily passage based, like English and legal or CR. So English, then GK. uh, After that I would go to legal, because legal has the most number of questions. Keeping it towards the end wouldn't make sense. Keeping it at the beginning, all this was my strategy. So keeping it towards the beginning wouldn't make sense, because you might end up spending more time on legal than you should ideally should. So keeping legal in the middle was the right way to go for me. So legal was in the middle, and then there was CR. uh, Keeping CR towards the end was fine, because generally what the trend has been in CLAT, the CR questions have been doable in CLAT, especially in CLAT 21 and 22. So keeping CR at fourth was fine. Uh, Keeping math towards the end. So the reason behind this was you wouldn't want to keep math in the beginning, because you at times you get stuck in a question, and then you feel like, okay, how can I not solve this question? I'll spend more time, or maybe 2 minutes more, and okay, I'm almost there, I'll solve this question. So that's why I kept math towards the end. And it would always be great, like if I'm left with 10-15 minutes towards the end to solve math, I would have that time just for that section, which gives you a lead, which we will talk about later when we are doing sectional analysis. Secondly, how much time to spend on each section. So for English, legal, and CR, ideal limit for each passage should be 5 minutes. In that way, you'll finish English in 30 minutes, finish legal in 40 minutes, and CR in 30 minutes. So that comes up to 140. Ideal, this is the like broad range. CR generally you can end CR in 25 to 30 minutes. So that extra time goes for math. GK, I don't think it should take more than 10 minutes, since you just have to read the question. There is one option. It's either right or it's wrong. You don't have to put your brain to it, okay, to understand it. So yeah. And 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. For GK, 10 minutes. Towards the end, you are left with 10 minutes for math. If you are able to save some time over these sections, that would go for your math section. Uh, what some people prefer this other method of solving the paper, which is English. So then the order doesn't matter as such. What they prefer is to do the passage based questions continuously. What their argument is that like you solve the passage based questions in a continuity, so it is easier for them, there is no break in between, it's easier for them to get done with it quickly. This makes sense, it's fine. If it suits you, then it's fine, totally. But yeah, I told you, I preferred this one. Like I do English, I have my break I, with GK, which is a light section. Then I go for legal, which is a very heavy section. Then logical, then math towards the end, because math, it's math. So yeah, what we can talk about next is okay. So let's talk about each section first. How you can approach it, especially during your last month. For English, legal, and logical, what your strategy should be for the last month is that you try to see where you're getting your questions wrong. Since you're towards the end of your preparation, you should be getting most of your answers right. If not most of it, you should be getting more answers right than you used to before. And now what you can do is you have to analyze it. Why are you getting the questions wrong which you are right? Initially, I understand, like each one of us is new to this preparation model, and each one of us is new to these questions. But now, since you're towards the end, you have to read the options carefully, you have to read the passages carefully to understand where you're getting it wrong. You have to think from the examiner's point of view. Doing that will help you understand the concepts. Like in logical, it will help you how understand how the questions relate to the different uh, concepts which are there. And in legal, so in legal, what happens is, legal, you have studied some topics, you have studied some concepts, and mostly the passages you get are out of those topics, except two or three passages which are completely different from the topic and a little on the more difficult side as compared to the other 5 6 ones. So what you should do while solving your mock is try to find the easier topics, try to find the topics which you've studied, and solve those first in your legal section. That way you have secured 25 marks from those questions, and then go to the difficult ones, and then try to give give time to those questions and solve them. Again, provided that you don't exceed the time limit which is there, don't exceed, like for 1 hour solving the legal legal section. That would be ridiculous, and then you won't be left with time towards the end for math and other sections which you're taking towards the end. So for legal, yeah, try to relate those questions which the topics you have studied. So if you've done the topics while you're reading the passages, it will be easier for you to connect the passage with those topics. So it may be easier for you to study the passages as compared to English section or CR section where the passages are new. For example, if there is a passage on culpable homicide in legal, you would know what concept the examiner must have placed there. And while you're reading the question, try to find the keyword in the options which may be present in the passage. So there are some options which are like easy to eliminate, which will say something very ridiculous out of the blue, which is not related to the question at all. Eliminate them. Now you'll be left with two options, maybe at max three. Try to see which option has some connection to the passage, to the keywords present in the passage, which is answering the question exactly what the question is asking. This is this will be there in legal section because the concepts are there. So every concept has some keywords. You will be able to find the keywords in the options. So that's how you approach the legal section. Coming to English, what you can do is English, like CR, you have to understand the options carefully, read the options, and try to find the option which answers the question completely, not incomplete. So there could be one option which is answering the question incompletely, like, okay, I Mhm. Anyway, so there are options which are some options are short, some options are long. Try to look for options which answer the question completely, not like short options which are just saying one thing and get done with it. No. So that's how you approach the legal question. And for all the three sections, one thing which is common is trying to analyze each question after you're done with the mock, trying to understand the question and the options from the author's point of view. Okay, so moving forward. Okay, so towards the end, at times it happens that you'll you might notice some decrease in your mock scores. You don't have to worry about it, but also I won't say that just ignore your decrease in the mock scores. Of course, like, don't ignore it for sure. Try to analyze why your mock scores are decreasing. Why couldn't you why couldn't you understand that question? Maybe it's an issue of time management, maybe it's an issue of uh, how much you were paying attention while doing the mock. It could be anything. And especially towards the last month, when this thing is on your head that okay, CLAT is around the corner, you have to be more careful. And at times it happens while you're giving the mock, you have this in your head that CLAT is around the corner, how will you score? And it happens, it's totally fine. But you have to analyze after you're done with the mock. And this is a very general suggestion to everyone who's taking CLAT, not just 23 students, anyone in general, that you have to analyze after you have given the mock. It shouldn't be a one-off thing, like, okay, it's a 2 hour long paper, you're just done with it and gone, you forgot it. No, spend some time with the mock you've given. Even if you're not able to discuss it with your teacher, maybe try to understand it yourself, because I understand not you it's not possible to have a one-on-one discussion with teachers all the time. Try to understand it yourself. mm, so yeah, what we can talk about next is, okay, sure, GK. So GK is one section which if you've done well can give you an edge over everyone else. So you have to make sure that your GK is right on point. So since you're talking about this, one thing which is there is, don't feel like okay, this section of mine isn't strong, I think I will do it, uh, I will do the other sections properly and maybe not this one that well. No. If you're aiming for the top NLUs, if I see my friends here at Endless, everyone at here at Endless, you have to have this mindset that everything you approach has to be perfect, has to be, you have to know everything which you're attempting. You can't be like, okay, this section I don't enjoy doing this section that much, okay, maybe I'll keep this for later, or I'll just skim through the concepts, I'll skim through the questions. No, you have to do every section properly. GK comes into play here because GK gives you a role over, GK gives you an edge over every other section. This is because since so many students are giving CLAT these days, and GK is one section which is very broad. You can't predict at all, no matter how much you practice, what you're going to get in GK. What I would suggest for GK is thoroughly revise every month, not once. Like, you have to know every month's GK by heart. I'll tell you what I used for this. I used CL's Manthan to do GK, the weekly month. So it almost covers all the topics. You can go for other sources if you feel like, but Manthan covers all the topics, and you should ideally get done with all the months in your last month. And if you have some time left, revise it again. Whatever you're doing, whenever you have some time free, do your GK. If you're enjoying doing GK, okay, it will be a piece of cake for you. For those who don't enjoy doing GK, you'll have to push yourself. Maybe while you're sitting on a table resting from, you've done your mock, you need a rest, maybe pick up a piece of 1 week of GK and just skim through it. You don't have to make notes all the time, and especially towards the end, I don't think making notes is that much useful because you won't be able to go through those notes. But again, if you are a person who is able to understand better while you're taking notes, go for it, of course. See, I'm giving you so many options to, I'm keeping this open ended and not telling you a specific thing which you have to do, because CLAT is a very strategic based exam. I believe more, there only some part of CLAT is reading and understanding the concepts, and more is about the strategy which you have. And every person has a different strategy. Every person will have different way of approaching the exam. So again, if you like doing GK while taking notes, go for it if you understand better. But what I feel is it takes more time, and then you don't have much time towards the end to go through those notes. Instead, what I did was keep I just kept reading my GK sheets, and so I kept doing it again and again. So what happened was, when I was doing it for the last time, it would just take me a couple of, not couple of minutes, so like it will take me half an hour to skim through a sheet. And because I have read the sheet so many times, it wasn't that big of a deal. So revision of GK is very, very important if you're aiming for a good score, because GK gives you an edge over all the other aspirants. What Another section which gives you an edge over other people is math. So math, if you like math, then it's a very, very good thing for you. But I would suggest not leaving maths completely. Because math, some questions should be doable. If it happens that during the CLAT, some out of the blue CLAT throws you some out of the blue questions at you, like it happened in 2020, I believe. That is another scene, but otherwise math gives you an edge over others, because not everyone attempts a section, not everyone is able to solve all the sections. So even if you are getting a 5 marks or 10 marks edge from just that math 15 marks math section, then I think it's a lot. It changes your the NLUs, couple of NLUs for that. Okay. So Next we can talk about is, okay, so generally how to keep your mindset during the last month. I i understand that you'll have some days where you'll feel like, okay, you are not doing that well, your scores are going down, you can do better. That's fine, that's totally fine. And it's totally reasonable to feel that way since it's your last month. It's a year long preparation, you've put in everything you can, and that's fine. What you can do for this is first of all, keep a positive mindset. Please don't be negative that, oh, what will happen. I understand that it it's easier to say than doing it, but try to keep a positive mindset. Try to believe in yourself that you will be able to solve the CLAT paper. And yeah, you will be able to solve the CLAT paper well, and you will do well in your exams. If you are getting low scores in your mocks, don't be sad about it, don't ignore it. Like some people suggest that, oh, if you got a low score in the mock, ignore it, it's not big of a deal, maybe the mock was bad. No. Okay, mock was bad is not a good argument to justify a low score. Try to understand why the score was low, try to analyze, try to reflect on where you went wrong. That way you'll be able to understand why you went wrong. You will feel less bad about it, and you will be able to do better in the future. So this is very important. Maybe you're trying to solve practice sheets and you're just not getting anything, you're getting all the questions wrong. Take a break. It's fine to take a break towards the end, and I think you guys deserve a break. After you've done so much of work, take some hours off. Maybe maybe watch a series, watch a 20 minutes show. That's totally fine. And after that, after you've freshened up your mind, go back to it again, and I'm sure you'll be able to do it. So this is what I used to do. I would study in the morning. I would study, not early morning, of course. I would study in the morning, I would do my GK in the evening, and later in the day, towards the later evening, I would watch a couple of episodes of Friends or a couple of episodes of The Office to freshen up my mind. And I did this even towards the last week before my CLAT, because I thought that it was necessary to like keep my mind fresh. Well, because I understand all these sections are such heavy, these require you heavy reading and heavy comprehension, and your mind gets exhausted. So it's totally fine to take a break. Some people take a break with GK. People who like GK, that their break is watching YouTube videos of study IQ or general GK videos. So that's there, and that's fine. So don't worry if you're getting low scores, if you're not able to solve these questions, if you're not able to understand GK. Maybe take a break. uh, Divide the GK in sections. Okay, I will just do the national GK of this week. I will not. I will not go ahead with international GK. Also, some GK which you completely hate. Maybe do national GK. Maybe do some part of GK which you like, and after you get a hang of it, then move to the difficult side. So what my point of saying all this is, you have to uh, cater to you have to cater to the needs of the situation. Like, you have to understand how you are able to strategize just for yourself. You can talk to your friends, but again, the thing is, every person has to have a different strategy. Not there I don't think there is one way of approaching the exam which will fit two people. So it's different for everyone. That's what I've experienced. So yeah. What else? Okay, generally, for English, there is one thing which is important, that newspapers are extremely important, because newspaper while reading newspapers you are able to firstly learn how to read. So initially, if you have not been reading newspapers, you don't have to time yourself. But you have been doing that, maybe start timing yourself while reading the newspapers. Give 15 minutes to one page of one editorial page. That should be fine. 15, 17 minutes, and try to understand what the author is saying. So for newspapers, I believe the Hindu has the best editorials. The Indian Express has good editorials, but Indian Express's editorials language is somewhat on a simpler side as compared to the Hindu. And I believe the language which CLAT paper has is somewhat similar to the Hindu, or yeah. So newspapers are very crucial to develop and maintain your reading skills, comprehension skills. Yeah. So what else can we discuss? Okay, I think we can have some question and answers now, and then we I will okay, we can have some question and answers, and then I will cover everything up once again, summarize everything we talked about, and then we'll close. Okay, so okay, yeah, now we'll be taking the question and answers once again. It's visible. You guys can start. Okay, so about increasing attempts, that is an important question. So for increasing attempts, there has been this query that when you increase your attempts, your accuracy falls down. What happens is, initially it will, of course, you're solving more questions in the same time, your accuracy will fall. But what happens eventually is, like while you're solving more and more mocks, as you solve more and more mocks, your accuracy is bound to increase. It will increase eventually if you're solving your mocks and analyzing it diligently. So don't worry about your accuracy falling. Try to increase your attempts, because that is very crucial. You can't expect a good score if you're just attempting 100 questions, and because some questions would still be wrong. If you're attempting 100 questions, 20 questions would still be wrong, and then you'll end up at 20 questions, yeah, 75 marks. So increasing the attempts benefits in the long run. Even if accuracy falls a little, you will have somewhat bracket to offset that. And of course, eventually accuracy will increase if you're analyzing your mock, like I said. Second question. Okay, so many people are asking what a good score in a mock is. So again, there is one definite answer for this. Every mock has a different good score. Some mocks are difficult, where the a good, like where the good score falls to 80, 90. Some mocks are on the easier side, where it's possible to score above 100. So how you can determine that is, maybe try to see what your friends have scored, and that's how you can do it. Or maybe while you're solving the mock, you'll realize, okay, tough it's a mock on a tougher side. The score is bound to come a little down. So there is no one definite answer how much you should score in a mock. how many mocks you should be taking in the last month. As many mocks as you could, provided that you're able to analyze those mocks properly. There is no point of taking a mock every day if you're not analyzing them. So try to take mocks, more mocks as compared to your previous months, but also analyze them. And mocks are very crucial in the last month, more so because you have done your concepts, you have done your time management, you have done your GK, you've almost done all the months which are there. So whatever is left is practice now, and the only way to practice a CLAT exam is through mocks. So it becomes crucial to take mocks, and as many as you could, as long as you're able to analyze those mocks. What can be an ideal source for GK? Like I said, Manthan is there, which I used to do. Manthan covered almost all the topics because it was a uh, weekly. It used to come out weekly, and it used to have, I believe, 80 points. Yeah, almost 80 points. So it used to cover your dates and everything. So you can cover your GK of past months through Manthan. Every month has four weekly sheets. For covering up legal. Okay. For covering up legal, I believe you would be having uh, like for covering up legal. I'm assuming you're talking about the topics which are there in legal. You only have to cover the basic topics which are there, like just the definition. To be honest, you don't need to know everything by her heart. Like, okay, if you like do some crime, this is the punishment, this is how many years you will be in prison. No, you don't have to do this. Just the definition. Okay, theft. Okay, this is theft. Murder, homicide, difference between culpable homicide and murder, section 300, and all that. Just the definitions. This is because basically you really don't need to know the concepts because the passage gives you everything, and you have to attempt legal questions only based on the passages. You don't have to apply knowledge from outside the passage, to be honest. You're only doing these concepts just so that it becomes easier for you to approach the passages. Because when you know some concept, like if you know the definition of theft, like if you move some object or possession of someone else. So it will be easier for you to understand the passage while you're doing it. You won't have to read the same passage again and again. Ki, oh, you have to take it out of the possession of someone. You have to take it without their consent. These things. So if a passage says theft, you will be able to connect. Okay, theft. I read this. About it. It must be similar to this. That's why read the concepts. You really don't have to know everything by heart because the passage would have it. Okay. How to deal with weird questions asked in CLAT? I like this question. Okay, CLAT does ask questions which may seem difficult to approach or maybe like difficult to comprehend, but that's how it is. And I think if you're doing your mocks, you will get a hang of answering those questions. It's not like CLAT it's only present in CLAT. Sometimes the mocks also have some questions like that. So if a question is very okay, this will help you here. Like when you're analyzing the questions in your mock, at times you will feel like, oh, I feel that this should be the answer. I feel my reasoning is correct, but the examiner has some other reasoning for that question. That is where the conflict is. try to understand from the examiner's perspective. So that way you will be able to think from the examiner's perspective, no matter how weird the question is. That will help you during CLAT. Because, okay, I agree, CLAT may have some questions like that. And if you have analyzed these questions before, you will be able to think, okay, oh, the examiner could be thinking this way too. So that's how you do it. How much did I score in GK? So my score in GK was 24 and 5, 24.5. How to do math if you haven't started yet? Uh, it's not like it's not doable, because we all have been studying math since our childhood, and like everyone has done math till class 10th. So the basic concepts which are there, I am assuming everyone knows them: proportion, percentage, ratio. These questions may be doable, but CLAT has increased. I think CLAT has increased the difficulty of math for this year. So that's the thing. I think you can go through these basic topics. If you find some question doable, that's what you can do. Just solve a few questions every day of these topics. So what you can have is you can have a list of topics, solve two questions from each topic every day, and you can do this for 10 days. So on the 10th day you will be done. Assume, I'm like, let's take, you have five topics or maybe eight topics. You solve two questions from each topic, 16 questions per day. By the end of the 10th day, you will be done with 160 questions covering all the basic topics which are there. I think that should be fine because 160 questions are enough on topics which you've already done, like percentage, ratio, and proportion. So yeah, that's how you can start with math if you have not started yet, like you asked. Yeah. If you haven't started GK, that should be a little difficult, but again, you can look for brief GK sheets which have all the topics covered in brief. I think you can go through it. So, what CLAT has been like in past, especially in CLAT 21, what happened was, if you know a topic, you have to know it thoroughly. It's not like you can just skim through a topic and you'll be able to answer questions. The topic which they asked you were expected to know it thoroughly. So, in addition to covering a broad range of topics, what is also an objective is to cover the topics thoroughly, the major topics thoroughly. You have to know the background about it. You have to know the static history, the static GK history of that topic. Okay. Okay. For legal, if you're scoring low, in fact, many people are asking the same question, that if they're scoring low, what they should do right now at this point. Well, like I said, the same thing, that analyze those questions. There is no other way to understand the questions unless you put in effort from your side. So analyze those questions, try to read the explanation of each question which is there, which you got wrong or which you had some doubt but got right by chance. Try to understand why you got it right, or try to understand why you got it wrong. And if you're not able to have a one-on-one interaction with a teacher, maybe explanation for every answer, then you'll know why you want to try. Right, okay, your reasoning was correct. I understand this is your last month. It may not be possible to do every question of every mock, but at least the questions which you got wrong, because that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to understand why you got some questions wrong. Yeah. Else, is there any other question? Okay, if you're scoring, okay, I believe this question is about ALET. So for ALET, I understand that the pattern changed last year and it's somewhat similar to CLAT, I believe, because it is also passage based now. They have lessened the amount of questions like syllogism and all these questions. It is passage based, and you can apply the same technique there, solve these questions, try to understand try to understand why you got these wrong. So I'm saying this again and again because this is the only way to do it. This is how you do it, because you have to put in effort from your side. You have to sit back after you're done with your mock, after you're done correcting the answers, why you got it wrong, read the explanation and understand that. How do you cover static history of a particular topic? Okay, this is a good question, I'll tell you. So suppose you read about the Olympics. Last year Olympics happened, you read about the Olympics. Now how you cover the static history is, when did Olympics start? The people from India who have won medals at Olympics. That's how you like start covering the static history. You will get a static history from sources online. It's not that big of a deal, but make sure that you do. If you're reading about some event which an organization held, for example, if like International Solar Alliance held some event or it has started a new initiative, and just read about in that International Solar Alliance that it started in so and so year, the president is this, it's on where are its headquarters, all these things. So basically you just don't need to know the GK, just what's happening around you. You have to have a complete understanding of the topic. You have to have an overview of the current affairs. Not just like you read the GK, okay, these are the topics, I know what happened last month. No, you have to have a whole holistic understanding of the topic. Okay, so did you get details of the OMR sheet before the exam? Uh, yeah. So while you're giving the mock, maybe like remember the details which you're supposed to fill on the heart sheet by heart. You have to know your roll number. You have to know the details by heart. You can't. Okay, maybe look at your admit card once, tally it, but know it by heart, so that you don't spend time trying to figure out, oh, is it four, is it two, is it three? No, know it by heart before you fill it. In most, most probably, you won't be given time before the exam starts to fill the OMR sheet. So keep this in mind that you have to fill it after the exam starts. So once you have it in practice, it won't be weird for you while you're taking the CLAT. If by chance they allow you to open the sheets beforehand and fill the OMR sheet, that's well and good. That's added 2 minutes in your. Uh, so yeah, Okay, so okay, so you say that you've started to give mocks daily for CLAT, but you can't seem to be able to reduce your mistakes. Okay, that's totally understandable. Like I said, the objective is not to give as many mocks as possible. The objective is to give most mocks that is possible along with analyzing them. So you won't get much out of just giving the mocks and being like, oh, that's 2 hours of my life gone and being done with it. No, give some time to your mock. Treat it like a CLAT paper. You give 2 hours, finish the paper if you're left with some questions after those 2 hours, and then analyze them. So I hope that answers your question over there. And doing this will help you to increase your score for sure. uh, how to analyze the mocks. I have explained this n number of times during this call. So what you can do is go back to the questions after you're done, understand the questions from the examiner's point of view, understand each options, and see why the examiner marked A and not B, C, D. That will answer your question, Garima, because I have explained that many times during this call. Okay, for silly mistakes are silly for a reason. So, uh, silly mistakes usually happen when you're not paying attention to a mock. You have something else on your mind, and it's fine if you have, like, I understand that since CLAT is around the corner, you must be having that on your head. But when you're going to give your mock, maybe wash your face, take a deep breath, and just clear your mind from everything that you have in your head for the next 2 hours. You have you don't have to think about anything while giving the mock. That will reduce your silly questions because you have to concentrate on the mock only at that time. You don't need to analyze each and every question. Primarily, analyze the questions which are wrong or which are right by chance, but you were not sure about the answer. Analyze those questions. My mock scores before CLAT were on around 115, 110 to 115, 120 at times. Yeah. So, like this is right before CLAT. Of course, and your mock scores, yeah. Legal edge mocks. So legal edge mocks, in my opinion, are a little on a tougher side. So 90 to 100 should be fine in that. CL mocks are really good, and CL mocks have a good range of being able to score 120, 115, 120 is like people go to 120 in CL mocks. For LE, 90, 100 is what I've seen. Okay, so that's understandable that it feels exhausting after towards the end, but that's what you have to understand that don't keep a very major exhaustive section for the end. Keep a section which is light. GK is a light section, but you can't afford to keep GK towards the end because GK is doable. That's quick, 10, 20 marks for you. So don't keep GK towards the end. That's one thing I'll tell you. So then we are left with math. because legal again, legal is an important section. I wouldn't recommend legal keeping legal towards the end. So that's why I think most people keep math towards the end because you don't lose out on a lot. Section gives you sure shot 15 numbers, but it does. Like, it does for people who are good at math. But keep less important sections towards the end and less exhaustive sections towards the end. Okay, I think we're done with the questions. So I'll just wrap it up once, whatever we discussed here. So basically, that's what you have to keep in mind, that be diligent in what you're doing. Have a timetable, and stressing on this again. Don't wander around like, okay, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this today. And at the end, you end up doing nothing, or you just end up doing one of those three things. Have a timetable, and not for the whole month. Have a timetable for the next 3 days, or have a timetable for the next week. That at this time, you will solve this mock. At this time, you will solve the practice sheets, and the rest of the day, you'll do your GK. So have a timetable. That's very crucial. Second, very crucial thing, or like I told you, is analyzing your mocks. Third is revising your GK. GK gives you an edge. You should revise your GK. You should be well versed with the topics you've studied, and like, just don't feel that okay, you're scoring low, what will happen. Glad it's totally fine. And like, everyone is going through this. All the 60, 70,000 people who are going to give CLAT this year, or whatever the number is, must be feeling the same way. So it's fine. And I think towards the end, all of you will do great. I wish all of you do great. Okay, so one last question we'll take up is, in mocks of one institute, you're getting good score, but in mocks of legal age, you're getting low scores. Like I told you, legal age mocks are a little on the tougher side. I think they prepare you for difficult questions in CLAT. So don't feel like, oh, I scored less in this mock. This is bad. No, that's fine. You have to see it relatively, and not relatively as compared to others who have attempted the mock, and not between different mocks. So you can't compare a CL mock with a CP mock. In fact, you can't even compare one mock from CP from another mock of CP, because every mock is different. All the sections which are there are different. Some at times some sections are long, some at times some sections are short. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. So do well, and I wish you all the best. And keep a fresh mind. Don't worry. All the best.